Hey,
hold one.
dear Billy and Nick. First of all, love your podcast. I love so many things about it, but what I love the most is that it's the only parenting podcast that I can listen to no matter how I feel. I feel inadequate a lot of the time because parenting is so hard and all kids deserve good parents. But no matter how hard I try, new challenges keep coming up. On some days, trying to reflect on what I could do better just sends me in a downward spiral. Your podcast is so special because it doesn't trigger me like that. You are both incredible. Your kids are so lucky to have such wonderful parents, but even you guys have your tough moments. I'm going to give this person a reflection in a second. And I think I think that's what keeps me going and makes me remember that I don't need to be perfect, and trying my best is enough. Thank you so much for what you do and for getting me out of my hole of feeling inadequate, because we all make mistakes, and like Billy says, nothing is irreparable. To my question, I love your episode on morals. I think I'll listen to that one quite a few more times. I have two children. Both struggle with executive function. My oldest is an orchid. My youngest has ADHD. I'm always aware that other things could be going on for people, causing them to do things that are not perfect. Sometimes I get told I make excuses for everybody. This causes a lot of conflict in my family because of the different needs. My daughter with ADHD needs more days at home from school because it's a lot being in that environment. My son feels resentful towards his sister because she gets whatever she wants. And my husband is worried I'm being too soft. I don't just make excuses for my daughter. When my son feels overwhelmed, I let him stay home, and when I can tell it's all a bit much for him, my husband, I'll take the kids out for the weekend by myself so he can get a break. I try to explain my reasoning, but I find that there is a lot of resentment towards siblings when I'm being too soft. My son is a 9-year-old and struggles with the theory of mind anyway, but how can I help him understand that his sister on some days is just not able to go to school or can't wear her uniform? After the podcast, I understand that my son might not be able to think that way yet, and I have expected too much from him for years. How can I meet my daughter's needs while protecting her relationship with her brother? How can I support my son to understand why there are different expectations for different kids? And how can I make sure I don't enable anybody around me to try to not try, because I'm always so aware of their challenges? Sorry for the long question. Thanks so much if you have read this, and thanks again for what you do. It has changed my life for the better. Lots of love. By the way, I'm German, so you have German listeners now too. Can I just have a quick reflection? They're not asking me the question, but this parent who's like, I have downward spirals about how I'm not doing well and this and that. I've been on a parenting podcast for nearly 3 years. I came home from the pool the other day. I'd had a bit of a moment, and I opened the door and I said, Henry, they're yours for half an hour. I need time out. And I just march off. I just walked into the other room and just was like, I need this time. I go on the podcast, see the TikTok that you and I have started, and it's going really well, and all these people are liking and these really great comments. And I was sitting off there in the room, not parenting, because I'd had enough. Mm-hmm. Like, I know all this stuff you've taught me. I still can't handle, a bad time at the pool or a tough ride home in the car. It is so hard. Sometimes. I'm not complaining, but I'm saying just at moments, I just have that. Yeah. So this person just please don't get too down on yourself, because I am not a perfect parent because I have a podcast, is my point.
None of us are, mate. You're one of the best dads I've ever met, and I've probably met thousands of dads. One of the few wishes that I had in life, even this is me being altruistic, I wish my daughter had more time with you. That's how highly I wish I had more time with you. But if I had to choose between me having more time with you and my daughter having more time with you, I'd have my daughter having more time with you. You're a beautiful influence on kids, including your own. You're also a beautiful demonstration of how none of us can do this perfectly.
It's really hard.
Really hard. This parent talks about this idea of being too soft. There's no such thing as being too soft. A better word is sensitive. There's no such thing as being too sensitive, because being sensitive has nothing to do with not having expectations of kids, and kids will thrive and succeed more when we are soft and responsive and sensitive to their needs. This idea of being tough on them and they'll do better is wrong. And I have many kids that I can, talk about that prove that is wrong. Tough love is not real. The other thing about this is what is a beautiful demonstration of what you're trying to take. So protect the sibling relationship, all the stuff we've talked about. Go back to siblings, was it twins? Yeah. Like one of the great Photoshops. And go back to, protect the relationship between them. Don't sacrifice it, all that stuff. Relationships over everything. I feel like this parent knows this. There's a difference between, being equality and equity. And that's a really big distinction in moral development.
Good one. Yeah, I love the difference between these two.
Yeah. So sometimes kids that are a bit stuck will think we all deserve the same. How come that kid gets more than me or different than me? And what we want is, once again, not to train them. We want to help them to learn why. Because we all have different needs and we all require different levels of support to succeed.
Yeah.
That's what real equity is.
Yep.
And that's what you want everyone in that family to learn. And the kid, like, for example, if the kid 100% school means failure, but occasional days where she gets to refuel means she succeeds, that's what she needs.
Yep.
Schools are getting better at adapting to not being so overstimulating and meeting the needs and having greater flexibility and all that stuff. So hopefully if that kid wants to be there full time, they can.
Yep. But
we just have different levels. But the whole point of this is help them understand it. Don't tell them. And that's how to do it, is show them, protect the relationships, help them learn the difference between we all get exactly the same versus actually all of us have different needs. Yeah.
Yeah. That's I really like that reflection around the equity versus equality. Equality versus equity. It's really good. It's important because you just need different things at different stages.
Yeah, exactly. And just helping those kids understand why and learn why and see the success that comes from it for all of us, including them, is really important.
Good stuff.
This podcast is brought to you by Guiding Growing Minds, a social enterprise that aims to give all children the best opportunity to reach their potential and succeed in living rich and meaningful lives.